How's it going? It's Sunday morning. And in the South, traditionally, Sunday mornings, we have a nice family, full Southern breakfast. By the way, being that it's Sunday morning, this is what you get for a Sunday morning. So you've been forewarned. Okay. So Southern breakfasts, what do they consist of? Typically, you might have pancakes, but for the most part, you're going to have bacon, eggs, grits. If you don't know what grits are, it's coarsely ground corn that is boiled and turned into a cereal, kind of like oatmeal, but 10 million times better. And then we will have some sort of bread, toast, or better yet, homemade biscuits. Well, one Southern delicacy that we have that is part of our Southern breakfast is biscuits and sausage gravy. Now, for my European friends, specifically my British friends, when we talk about biscuits, we are not talking about the chocolate chip, what we call cookies. We're talking about more like scones, but not sweet scones like you guys have with your clotted cream. We have a savory scone, which we call a biscuit. So we're going to have that, and we're going to have sausage gravy. That usually consists of some kind of sausage with flour and salt and pepper and a little bit of milk. And we'll make that as well. But the thing is, notoriously Southern breakfasts are very unhealthy, which means I don't eat them very often. I specifically don't eat biscuits and gravy very often because for my diet, they're extraordinarily unhealthy. My diet, I attempt to minimize or eliminate carbs and sugar. Carbs come in many different things. They come in flour, for example, but also white flour is particularly bad for you because when you eat white flour, as soon as it hits your system, it turns into sugar immediately and drives up your insulin levels, which then cause your cells to become more insulin resistant, which was what makes you get overweight. So it's trying to eliminate this insulin resistance is our main goal, and eliminating carbs and sugars are what we are doing that through. So how do we make biscuits and gravy that are low in carbs and low in sugar? Well, for the most part, they're going to be low in sugar, except for the white flour part. That's the primary thing we need to replace. So what we're going to do today is we're going to make whole wheat biscuits. Whole wheat's pretty good for you. If you're going to have some kind of a grain or bread, whole wheat is probably the way to go. And so we're going to make whole wheat biscuits, and we're going to make our biscuits and gravy not with sausage, but with a plant-based substitute and with whole wheat as the flour that is in the gravy. The only thing that's in there is milk. There's a little bit of fat there. But for the most part, most of the really bad things have been eliminated from this. So with that being said, we are dubbing these the world's healthiest biscuits and gravy, and we're going to show you how to make those right now. All right, we're going to start by preheating the oven to 425 degrees with a rack in the center position. Then we're going to take a sheet pan and line it with parchment paper in preparation for the biscuits. Then, in a medium mixing bowl, we're going to whisk together 2 cups of whole wheat flour, 1 tablespoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. We're going to whisk that all together, and then we're going to add to it 4 tablespoons of butter that we have cut into 1/2-inch cubes. This is the next step, is the only hard part in this. You actually have to cut in the butter into the flour until the butter is in pea-sized pieces, and that takes a little bit of effort to do. So we're going to take this fork and we're going to cut in the butter until we are happy with the consistency of that. Then we're going to take that flour mixture and we're going to put it in the freezer for 5 minutes. Once the 5 minutes is up, we're going to add in 1 cup of cold buttermilk into a well in the center of the flour, and we're going to mix it with a wooden spoon until it's pretty well, just barely integrated. Then we're going to remove it onto a slightly floured surface, and we're going to knead it a little bit until it becomes one cohesive unit. We're then going to pat it out into about a 1-inch tall disc. And then we're going to take about a 2.5-inch cookie cutter. I didn't have one, so I'm going to use these little brandy glasses that my sister bought me, and we're going to cut out the biscuits. The yield says it should be about 10. Looks like we got 9 out of this, and we're going to place them on the parchment paper on the sheet. Once we have the biscuits cut in on the sheet, we're going to just put them on the middle rack. We're going to increase the oven temperature up to 450 degrees, and we're going to let them cook for 9 to 11 minutes. I selected 11 minutes just to make sure that it was completely done. Okay, while the biscuits are cooking, we can get started on the gravy. All right, we're going to start out by putting this package of sausage into a skillet. Now, in the South, we do love our sausage, and typically we like a brand called Jimmy Dean. Although where I'm from, now it's not quite the same sausage. These are sausage links. Down in southern Alabama, we have a particular brand of sausage called Conecuh, C-O-N-E-C-U-H, that is the best sausage in the world. It comes from the same recipe my grandfather used to make, which is also, again, the best sausage in the world. And so we get Conecuh sausage to have a little nostalgia to remember my grandfather and the sausage he used to make, because it is amazing. That's link sausage. Not really appropriate for this. So we would use like a package of Jimmy Dean sausage. Well, I think it's kind of humorous because this plant-based substitute is called Gimme Lean, which rhymes with Jimmy Dean. So we're going to take this Gimme Lean sausage replacement and we're going to put it in the skillet. Now, I should have put a little bit of oil in here. Typically when I put sausage in a pan, it comes with its own fat that quickly, melts into the pan to use to help cook. But this doesn't have any fat in it, so I should have added some oil. I did add a little bit later to help it brown. Also, you have to have something for the next step. We're going to throw in 1/3 of a cup of whole wheat flour. Again, not white flour. So this is where we're making this healthier again. So we're going to throw in a cup of whole wheat flour. We needed something for that to stick to, so the avocado oil helps to bind the flour to the sausage. Okay, so we now have cooked sausage. We have 1/3 of a cup of the flour in there. We're going to add black pepper to taste. And then the recipe calls for 4 to 6 cups of milk. I thought that was a lot, so we just went with the minimum. We went with 4 cups of milk. So we add that to it. And we let that boil, stirring constantly to keep it from getting lumpy or to burn. So we're going to boil that, stir it, and as it cooks up, it will thicken. The flour will help it thicken, and it will reduce down and, again, thicken up. And once that is done, we are done. So we're going to put a few biscuits on a plate. We're going to throw some gravy on it. And let's see how it turned out. I'm super duper excited. All right, we're getting ready to try our first bite. I'm hopefully optimistic. The biscuits are really nice. Let me get a big blob of the sausage here. The sausage is there. There's texture there. It's fine. It's not overly flavorful. But the most part about sausage is the herbs and spices and stuff. So there's some of that there. You could definitely tell it's there. The gravy is pretty dang good. So one of the things we know, whole wheat has a flavor to it, a certain flavor, and it's definitely prevalent in this. If you don't like the flavor of whole wheat, it could be off-putting. I will say it's pretty dang good considering how healthy it is. There is hardly any carbs. There's hardly any sugar. There are hardly any saturated fats or any of the other kind of bad stuff because of the fact we use the plant-based sausage. So, in my opinion, if you need a healthy alternative and you absolutely have to have biscuits and gravy, as we Southerners must, it's not a bad choice. Well, I'm going to go off and enjoy this now. Why don't you give it a try and see what you think? Post something in the comments, tell me if you did and what you thought of it. On that note, I'm going to go. I'm hungry. Thanks for coming by, and we'll see you next time.